everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to the start of class, but I will be sharing announcements as well as supplies, so make sure to stick around for that. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hi everyone! Hope you are doing well. I am just about to get everything ready for today's class. And I'm just getting out my paints. There's not a whole lot of colors in this specific class. Hi Allison! Happy to have you join. I wanted to put May the 4th be with you, like somewhere in the tagline or like the title of this, but I didn't want to confuse people on the actual date of the event, because you know, people see the 4th and are like, oh, the 4th, without actually looking at the date. So May the 4th be with everyone. And I feel like in another life I probably would have just moved this class to the actual 4th, but the 4th is my my husband's birthday, so I don't think I will ever actually paint on the 4th. So here we are. Let's see, what did I say? Just looking at what I told everyone else to get out, just so we are all on the same page. My dreaded white, never-ending white that farts at me. Have that. Check. Alright. Let's see. Black, brown, orange, red, yellow. Sounds easy enough. Black, brown. Either raw umber or burnt umber would be fine. I'm just gonna get out orange. I'll get out red too, just in case. And then a yellow. I'll do medium yellow, but I'm gonna get out a yellow ochre just in case I want to use that, which is essentially just yellow and brown. It's just a quicker way of getting there. I think that's it. Let's see. Let me see. Let me look at the picture. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm excited for how like simple this color palette is going to be. Oh, something that you'll need that I don't think I necessarily put in there is something to splatter. We're going to be having fun with our like sand, so that will be fun. So make sure you get either a toothbrush or old or stiff bristled brush, that we can have fun with that. if you are, I love splattering too. I feel like I don't do it enough for how much I love doing it. But I also, my husband, every time he uses my computer, he's like, you need to clean this off, because there's like splatters all over it. Because it's like my computer's like right next to my canvas, and so if I'm like, it'll get, you know, it'll get on there a little bit. But I'm an artist, it happens. It comes off easy, which is great. I just haven't spent time cleaning it lately. Okay. If you're interested in supporting the channel and the Traceable, feel free to go grab that, especially if you're a patron. I already put mine on the canvas. There's a lot of detail on the Traceable. You do not have to put all those lines on there. Just get the main lines, the circles, the things that are kind of harder to put on there, or to get right. I pretty much did the outline and then a couple of the circles, and then some of the detail that are like a different color. I didn't put in all the lines. So this is what mine looks like. I just have that. Let's see, let me go back here. You can see it. So that's what mine looks like. It's not all the detail, just enough for me to kind of figure out where everything is. Take that off the back. And this is the Traceable. So I cut off the top because you print it out sideways. I cut off the top, at least for the 11x14. The 9x12 you won't have to do that, but and then I just put it on there. Are there any questions? I think it's just, there's only a few of us in here. This one will probably be a light class, at least to start off with, because I know a lot of people just didn't see the class before now, which is totally fine. They'll probably paint, maybe we'll paint it on Wednesday. But yeah, I'm excited. I always like the Star Wars themed ones that we do. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to think of any announcements. It's the 2nd of May, but it's the beginning of May, and it's the beginning of like a new lineup of classes. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, head over there. I have a pinned post with everything, all the classes that we are going to be doing over the next 2 months, which is really exciting. In June, I decided to do a animal flower theme. So if you like flowers, if you like animals, make sure to stick around for June, because we're gonna have a lot of fun. There's a Highland cow, there is there's an owl on there, a chipmunk, and then what was the other one? I don't remember what the other one is. I think it's butterfly. Yep, butterfly. But yeah, I'm excited to do that. And then this month I'm excited for my Patreon, because we're going to be doing a new technique I learned for Northern Lights, and I'm really excited to teach that. So that will be a lot of fun. So if you're not a part of my Facebook group or my Facebook community, which is just a free Facebook group, then, sorry, my Facebook page and then my Facebook community group, make sure to go on Facebook and find me there. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm pretty much already set up, because I wanted to get set up before I came live, just because there was a lot of detail and I wasn't sure how long it was going to take, but it took less time than I thought it was going to. But let me know how you all are doing, how your week has been. I love being able to chat with you guys. Gals, mostly gals, but guys in general. I need to get more red. It's pretty close to each other. While we are waiting, I'm going to refill some of my acrylic paints. I've really been enjoying having these little bottles on my, like, to put on my workspace rather than like these giant things, because they're giant and I have a little tiny workspace. But so instead of, I have so many paints that I'd rather just refill with rather than buy more paint. If you are here in the chat, ooh, oh my gosh, you didn't see that. I was pushing out the air and it popped out a thing and I caught it. Nailed it. Just gonna put that away. I was asking a question and I completely don't remember what I was asking. Here in the chat. Oh, I was gonna say, have you ever painted anything for like May the 4th or like Star Wars related? If you were with me last year, we painted, is it on the wall? No, it's not on the wall. We did a baby Grogu, baby Yoda, holding a frog, which was a lot of fun. It was super cute. That was a really popular class. I suppose Grogu is a much popular character than BB-8, but that being said, it was a little bit more cartoony than what we're gonna do today. I want to do it a little bit more whimsical and not as realism as the photo, but I'm excited just to, you know, do that. Took me a while to figure out May the 4th. May the 4th, May the 4th. I grew up hearing that. I guess I just assumed that it was like common knowledge, but at the same time, I'm probably also heard it a bunch because my husband's birthday is on the 4th and he says it all the time. So maybe that's why. That's probably why. While I'm here, I'm going to refill my raw umber because I keep saying I'm going to do it and then I keep forgetting. Ugh. Sometimes I'm afraid when they're stuck that it's just going to go everywhere, but it doesn't. That's just me. Yes, hello, Janet. Not Brian. Hello, not Brian. It's fun to get to the point where like I know your usernames. Like I know who's behind the username. And like my patrons. It's always fun knowing who I'm painting with. Alright, now I have to figure out if I'm going to use my burnt umber or my raw umber. Burnt umber is a tad bit warmer, but I can always warm it up with orange. So I'm going to do raw umber. And then I can tint it as I need to. I don't know why, I just prefer the darker one, because it's always nice to lighten it up, but if I need to go darker, then I have to add black, and I don't necessarily like adding, I don't really like adding black to darken things up. It grays the things out, and I don't like that as much. That's personal preference. Janet, what I was saying earlier is make sure you get your toothbrush out or a stiff bristle brush, because we're gonna have fun with like the sand and splattering and stuff, and we will need a good brush to do that with. So here's a question. How long does it take for you to get set up before you paint? How long does it usually take? I feel like for me it depends on what I'm painting, and it depends if I cleaned my station before, like after my last painting. Because sometimes if I don't clean it, sometimes I can't clean it because I have to like go feed a baby and then I forget about it, and then like it's like a day and a half later before I'm like, oh yeah, I still need to clean my palette. Obviously I clean the brushes like right after. Don't forget to ever clean your brushes, because then it'll just ruin them all. But sometimes it'll be the next time I need to paint, I'm like, I still need to clean my palette. It doesn't take too long, but, and then whether or not I'm using a traceable or not. The one we just did, our Patreon class, it was fun because we didn't use a traceable, and sometimes it's nice not to use a traceable, just to paint. Is this going to be more cartoonist or realism? I want to say like in between. Like, I don't want to spend too much time on details because it is just kind of a funner painting, a more fun painting. But I don't want to go super cartoony like we did last year, when we did the Yoda. Like that was like, had like black outlines and everything. I don't want to go that cartoony, but I'm not going to go as realistic. Like I don't want to spend, there's a lot of detail. What I'm saying is there's a lot of detail on this, and if you want to go realism, then go for it. You will have to spend more time than I'm going to spend on it, because there's a lot of detail. So in that case, it's gonna be a little bit more of a whimsical, like I'm gonna get the main colors and I'm gonna have fun with splatters, and you could even just do this with the palette knife. That would actually be really cool if you did this all with like a palette knife. Oh man, I should have done that. I can't switch it now because people already expect it to not be a palette knife class, but that would be fun. Palette knife class would have been fun for this. A little bit more abstract. Because then it's like, okay, if, like the circles and everything is not like perfect, and I mean it's already not fine if it's not perfect, but you know what I mean. But yeah, for this one specifically, because it's a robot, it would take a long time to be realistic with all of its intricacies. No, my brain. How do I say that? Intricacies. No, I can't say it. The detail. Oh goodness. I think it's been one of those days. Oh, I sold my first painting. If you can believe that. I have sold my first painting. I'm really excited for it. If you remember, it is the Sunset Frozen Lake, which I just varnished it so it's over there drying, or else I would show it to you. But, oh, actually, it is the, let's see, I have a postcard over here of it. It's this one. So this is the postcard version, but this is the painting that I just sold, and I'm really excited because it was one of my favorites, and I'm glad it's going to a home where it'll be cherished. I couldn't print the traceable, so my son's girlfriend sketched it and then I traced it. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, essentially it's a circle. It's like a interesting snowman, and I will be going over like basic shapes for those who don't have a traceable, but a lot of the detail we'll be putting on over the layers, so it's okay if it's not, you know, exactly like the traceable. I can't believe that's the first one you sold. Yeah, yep, first one I've sold. I've given away a lot. I've donated some. I've donated things to like auctions where people paid for them, but like I haven't physically like sold any. And technically, like, they've always been available to be sold, but it wasn't until February 1st that I actually like put everything like online to be sold. And yeah, first one. I'm really excited. I'm probably shipping that out tomorrow. So, but yeah, that's really exciting. I want to eventually sell like postcards and cards of my work and stuff like that. I just haven't really got around with it. It's hard when you have kids and other priorities, but if you're a patron of the teal tier or higher, you get postcards. I do send those out, and sometimes stickers too. You get treats, but but that's like on the back end. I don't sell those currently. Maybe eventually. Okay, we have just a few minutes left. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? I think it's Janet. I think it's just you and Allison in here, and then my husband. Hi, Mike. But that's okay. I'm sure other people will find this later on May the 4th when they're like, I want to paint something. I'm excited. Although we might have more people show up at 4, so we'll see. Okay. I'm donating to Troopers Island. What is Troopers Island? I've never heard that before. KSP. I don't know what KSP stands for. I suppose I could Google it. Oh, okay. That's cool. I've tried to donate to some other local places, but they don't take like paintings as a donation, so I was sad. All right, let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to the start of class, but I will be sharing announcements as well as supplies, so make sure to stick around for that. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial. I am excited to get started. Let's go over supplies and then we will get straight into painting. I am using a 11 by 14 stretched canvas. This one specifically is from Fredericks. They sent me a bunch of free canvases a little while back and I've just been working through them. They've been great to work with, so I'm excited to use another one. I'm also be using a Acrylics by Hippie Crafter. These are just full body acrylics. So let me go over the colors. I already have my white out because it was empty and I'm trying to get out as much as I can. So I already have my white out, and then we will be using black. I have raw umber, which is brown, and then you can use either red or orange. If you don't have orange, just mix your red with your yellow. It's nice to have orange so that you can just use it readily. And then I have two different yellows. I have a medium yellow and then a yellow ochre. I'll probably use bits and pieces of both. Otherwise, I probably will just use just my normal medium yellow. If you don't have yellow ochre, it's just brown mixed with your yellow, to put it plainly. So if you don't have yellow ochre, that's okay too. And then I have my water, palette, paper towel, brushes. I will tell you what I use when I use it, but I do have just a variety kit, and I'll just be using an array of that. We're not going to go in too much of a detailed painting, but essentially the more time you spend on it, the more detail it'll get. So it's really however detailed you want to get. We will be having some fun with some splattering, so if you do not have a toothbrush, feel free to use either a stiff brush, like a fan brush, or you can just get an old kind of frayed brush that is nice for splattering. So it's up to you whether or not what you want to use. Let's go ahead and get started and mix our colors. Obviously, for those who don't know, I do have a Patreon. So if you are a patron, I have traceables. Available for you. I also have a higher tier where you can get exclusive classes. So make sure you check that out at the end of this video. Let's go ahead and mix together our colors. I will be using my flat palette and my palette knife to mix today. If you don't have a flat palette and you have one with pots, just get the smallest brush, like the smallest round brush you can, so that you don't waste paint in your large brushes, okay? I'm going to make this first background color, and it's going to be slightly off-white. I'm going to get out my raw umber, as well as my yellow ochre. And if you don't have yellow ochre, you can just get out your yellow. That should be fine. And we're going to make the 3 background colors first, because all of these are blended into each other a little bit, so we want to do that while it's wet so that it's easier to blend. So the first color we're going to make is that top color. It looks white, but it's slightly off-white. So we're going to grab just like the tiniest bit, like there's barely anything on my palette knife, the tiniest bit of yellow and like even smaller amount of brown. And we're just going to mix that together to make a fairly light cream color. I'm going to get a little bit more white just so I can make sure I can go all the way across with this color. So you just have an ever so slightly off-white. You probably can't even tell the difference. I can tell the difference in person, but that's just, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference on camera. I think you can see them. It's just slightly darker, tinted a little bit. Now we're going to make the second color. I'm going to get a little bit more white and some brown. Maybe 2 parts white, 1 part brown. And I'm going to go maybe half and half. So I'm going to put a little bit more brown in there. Just going to mix that together. And brown is at least raw umber is a cooler brown, so we're gonna warm it up just the smidgest by adding just a tiny bit of this yellow. Because we don't want it to look out of place in our color palette, which is a lot of these yellow browns, especially in the sand. So we're just going to make it a tad bit more yellow. And I'm going to add a little bit more brown. I want to darken it up a little bit. Okay. That is a pretty close color. And the colors don't have to be exact. Just get as close as you can. And then I know I'm not going to need as much brown as I have here, so I'm just going to use this color in order to create my next color. And I'm going to grab a bunch of this yellow. I have a little bit of this brown. And I'm going to grab a little bit of white. So I'm still working with those 3 colors, just different amounts. And we're going to make two different colors of sand. One's going to be kind of on the darker side, and the other one's going to be our lighter color. But first we have to get like the color of the sand down. And I'm going to add a little bit of white so I can better understand where this color is at. And I'm going to get out my orange, and I'm going to add just the smallest amount to this. Just to warm it up ever so slightly. And I could use this color and that would be fine, but I would encourage to just kind of challenge yourself and really try to get the color that you want. Add a little bit more, because it never hurts to challenge yourself. I'm going to add the tiniest bit of a lighter yellow. And again, I could very well just use this color that I have, this tan. It's pretty close. I'm going to add a little bit of a brighter yellow. A little bit more orange. Just kind of warming up the sand. That looks better. And just by adding just the tiniest bit of those 2 colors, now I have a color that I'm like, oh yeah, this is the color. So just by playing around with it a little bit, you don't have to settle for less. You can just keep playing with it until you get something that you really like. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, now that I have my sand color, I'm going to take the rest of my white and I'm just going to mix it with what's on my palette. And I'm going to do a little bit more of this tan color. Perfect. So this is just going to be the lighter version of this. And I think I might even make a little bit more. I feel like I don't have enough. So I'm just going to add a little bit more white, a little bit more of the sand color. Make a little bit more. All right. Perfect. My sand is too reddish. If it's too red, you should add more of the other colors. So, did you add red or did you add orange? Essentially, if it's too red, if it's too orange, then you should add your yellow, brown, and white to counteract the color you have too much of. yeah, if it's too orange, I would just add the other 3 colors to like counteract it. Alright, so now that I have my color palette that I'm using, I'm going to use my filbert, and I'm just going to get the tiniest bit of this brown, just so I can figure out where I'm putting my sky. It's very watered down. I'm just using the natural curvature of my hand coming down as that little hill. And if you want to go straight through the head so you know that it's going to come out at the same time, like at the same place on the other side, feel free to do that. We're going to cover it up anyways. Alright. So now we just know how far to come down with our white. And then, so with this, because we want everything in the background to be a little bit blurry, at least, you know, here, you know, the top 3/4 of it, we're going to move fairly quickly, specifically where these different colors meet. So I'm going to go ahead and take my off-white color. I'm going to do all the sides that I know I need to do. And then I'll come back to do the front of it. Now that I've done the sides, all right, so once I fill this whole space, get it, space. Once I fill the sky part of it, making sure to kind of go over it so I know it's all still wet, I'm going to go in with my brown. And I'm just going to blend the outer edge of it. Give a little bit more brown. And then I can come back with my brown and make this part just a little bit darker. I'm gonna rinse out my brush to make sure I can get all that white out. Go in with just my brown. This is the brown that we mixed. Make the edge of this just a little bit darker. And I'm being fairly light on my brush. I think I'm gonna bring this side up just a little bit. And if you do that, you have to note you have a lot of brown on your brush. So if you need to remix it, I'm going to just wipe this off and just gently go over it. And then when it comes to the rest of the brown, I can go around my traceable. But for that part, I want it to kind of just flow into the traceable so that it, so that there's a even blended background. Alright, now we're going to figure out where this is going to go to. I would say roughly this area. Ish. A little bit higher. So I'm just going to take my brown, fill it in this area. And it is like a tad bit lighter in here, so I'm just gonna grab a tiny bit of this white. Kind of just blend that in here. I'm not gonna go all the way to the top though. Because I want that to stay darker. Or you can just keep it all one color, that's fine too. And once you get down to the bottom, you're just going to do the same thing we did at the top with that second color. And try to blend it a little bit. So I'm going to get a little bit of water, a little bit of this color, and just go on the bottom here and make sure that this is all still wet and workable. Because we need it to be wet in order to be able to blend into it. So I'm gonna go into my sand color, and I'm just going to go over this section a bunch of times and just kind of blend that area. Again, not really paying attention to my traceable, because I just want to have a clean background. And as I'm putting this on the canvas, it is very dark, so I'm actually going to lighten up this yellow or this sand color a little bit so I can see it a little bit better. That's a little bit better. And keep in mind, this is just the first coat of our sand. We're done with the top part, but we have a little bit to go on our sand. So if it's not the exact color you want it, that's okay. We can play around with the colors as we go. And I can come in with this darker color. I'm going to use the color of the background and just start putting in some of these darker colors while it's wet. Even some of this lighter color. I'm not rinsing out my brush as I'm doing this. I'm just going straight into the color, mixing it in. And as we get closer, I'm going to do some light here. Again, I'm doing this while it's still wet. There's some light here. It doesn't have to be the lightest that it's going to get, but just to give some direction when we're putting this in later will help. Going in with my light. Just kind of going with the flow of things. I'm not going to worry too much about all the light and dark down here, just because there is so much of it and it's going to get muddy. You could come in here a little bit with like maybe some here and there. But like I said, it's gonna get muddy. So we're gonna wait until that part dries, and then we'll come in with like our actual dark sand color. With that said, because this is a little bit too much of a cool color, let's go ahead and do this other side. At this point, I'm just trying to make sure that these two sides are like even. So it looks like this one is like a tad bit lower. So I'm just trying to bring that up. So I have my wet sand color, and then I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this dark brown on part of my brush, and I'm just going to try to blend that a little bit. That's pretty good. Come back down here. paint the underside. Can't forget that. Alright, I'm going to put some lighter sand over here. And some lighter sand over here. I'm going to take some light sand and start putting in some of these I don't they're like mini hills, like ruffles in the sand. They're like waves a little bit. They kind of connect, so they branch off and then they can connect in other places. I'll put some more light sand back here. Just a dry brush. We can put some lighter stuff in the back. I'm going to grab a little bit of this whiter and mix it with some of this light sand so I can have a little bit of lighter pieces. Maybe go over some of these lighter sections. It's okay if you're if it's drying at this point. I'm just adding it pretty much with a dry brush. And if it mixes a little bit, that's fine. If not, a lot of this is going to have speckled on top of it anyways, so it's okay if it's like that. On this one, it's kind of going up and over, so I'm just going to add a slant. Add some of this. Maybe there's a couple other slants in the back here. Some slanting up here. I think that's pretty much it for the painted background portion. Because the rest of the detail we're kind of going to be just adding with our our speckling. Alright, so once you have that, we're going to go ahead and do some speckling, and then we'll get to put in our BB-8. Go ahead and grab whatever brush you're using. If you're using a toothbrush or an old brush, I would use a stiff brush or a hog brush, something that's got stiff. It'll be easy. You're going to get a little bit of water, and I would grab your paint that is white with maybe a little bit of your cream color. You can always make it go lighter if it's not showing up. And I'm just going to... Okay, so I know I don't have enough paint and water. So the further away you are, the more it's going to go kind of everywhere, and the closer you are, the more you can be a little bit more particular. And if you don't have, if you get big spots, you can just wipe it away. Now I'm going to get a little bit of a lighter color. I'm going to just want it to be everywhere. This is way too fun. I feel like a child. I get out a tiny bit of white. So I want it to be a little bit brighter. that's probably good. All right, rinse this out. And let's get to work on our BB-8. So I'm just going to move this aside so I have a little bit more room to work with. At least all my dried paint. Okay. Let's go ahead and first grab a little bit of white and fix any of the places that you went into it. For instance, up here, I'm just going to go over just with plain white. It doesn't need to be tinted or anything like that. Going to because this is such a hard angle, I'm going to turn this on its side so that I can get the circle. And whenever you're doing something like this where you're trying to like fix a circle, start from the inside. See how I'm touching the canvas on the inside and then slowly moving my brush to the outside. You'll have much more control that way versus just starting on the outside. Because then you might make it too large, you might make it too big, and then you'll have to make the whole thing bigger. Alright, that's a good first coat of just that plain white. Now we're going to mix together our white, which is kind of like on the more yellowish side because it's reflecting all of the warm colors of the sand. And then we're also going to, while that's drying, we'll mix together our orange. So let's do our white first. Let's do our white first. I have my white. I'm going to mix. I think I'm going to need more white than that. So I'm just going to put white over here for this. And for this off-white color, I'm going to grab a little bit of this yellow ochre. And a tad bit of the brown. Just like we did for the sky, but like a tad bit more. And then we'll be able to either add white on this side or like a brown on this side when we make it darker. Because the sun is coming from the left side. Alright, that's probably good. Again, I just have mostly white and then I mix together the yellow and the brown in it. I'm going to start off with this color. And if you want a smaller brush for this, feel free to grab that. I would use a small filbert because it's flat, so you can still do a large portion of it quickly, but it's a little bit smaller than this giant fat one. What I like about the filberts is that you can turn it to the side and get, you can essentially do lines if you wanted to. You can do small parts of it, or you can go fast and you can make it go flat and do large sections that way. Alright, as we move in the right direction, as we move towards the right side, I'm going to start slowly adding a little bit of this brown, the brown that we used for the background. I'm just going to blend this in. I'm going to take it from this side, I'm going to go over it and just pull it slowly to that side. And it's going to be a little bit shadowed down here. So I'm just, while this is wet, I'm just going to do the same thing. So then I'm going to take this new color that I've sort of mixed together and and put that over here. And just make sure that it's blended in to this section. And then as I go down, I'm just going to add a little bit more of this brown. And I think for this section, because there are so many pieces in here, I'm going to kind of ignore the silver pieces and just focus on this color. So again, I'm not going to ignore the gray pieces, but I'm ignoring I'm not ignoring the orange pieces, I'm ignoring the gray pieces. Because it'll take a lot longer to go around everything than just to like repaint it in. That I'm going to go in with this lighter color just right over here because I feel like it should be a little bit lighter. All right. So again, going a little bit, darker around the shadow side and then the underside. There's one part in here that should be this color. right, I'm going to rinse this out. Oh, I need to do the top now. There's a little bit of a light color here, but then the rest of this is, for the most part, on the darker side because of the shadowing underneath, as well as the shadowing on the side. Alright, let's do the rest of this guy. And then, of course, as you start moving over a little bit, it starts getting darker with the brown. And try to match the same darkness as you did for the right side of the body. Just so that there's a little bit of consistency. And then it's going to get a little bit darker over here. Eventually we'll be adding some black over here, but all right, let's do our orange to get a coat of that down. I'm gonna grab a smaller brush, like a medium round brush, and I'm going to mix this orange with just a tad bit of my sand color. And I'm going to add a little bit of the dark brown for the bottom here. Mix it into my orange before I put it on here. And a note on these little pieces that come in, they're wider at the base than they are at the middle. And then if you wanted to add a little bit of highlight, you can add some of this either yellow ochre or some of this sand color. Maybe a little bit of white added in there to give a little bit of like that highlight. Grab some more orange here. Mix it again with some of this sand color. I'm going to turn mine over so I have a better handling on it, at least this portion. Sometimes it's hard to see, like when your hand is in the way. So sometimes it's just easier. And then I'm going to add this one, this side with a little bit of that brown, just do the whole thing because it's all in that section, that's all in that shadow. I think something that I'm going to do is, now that I'm seeing it, I'm going to lighten up the background just ever so slightly right here. So that I can see it better. Because you'll notice that I can't really see the outline of it. And so I'm just going to just lighten up the background just a little bit. Just in some of these spots. And then I will also eventually darken this area up a little bit. Maybe I'll take some of my dark brown. And some water. Alright, we'll darken that area up in a little bit, but I'm going to take this, I'm going to get out my black because I think it's time to start darkening things up with black. I'm going to take a little bit of my orange and do a couple of things above, but I need a different brush. So I'm going to lighten this up here. I'm grab just some white, give a little bit of a highlight here. Just with a dry brush. Which means I'm also going to put pure white in this area. And then also pure white on this side of the head. You can just blend that in. Alright, let's keep moving. I'm going to get a smaller brush to add some brown to the top here. And just I might need just a little bit more brown here. Alright, I'm going to add some orange to the top and just add in the different places that you see. Actually, I think I might do, I'm going to do my gray first because then I'll know where that line is on top. So let's do the gray first. I'm going to grab some of this off-white, some of this black, and mix it together. Add a little bit more white. Do the right side first, and then I'm going to grab more of my white. I apologize. I'm pretty sure our baby is teething. So if you can hear her, that's why. She just turned 7 months. Crazy how time flies. So essentially, just like everything else, you're going to make the left side lighter and the right side darker. And I'm going to do a top gray. And that's going to go all the way across. Lighter on the left side, darker on the right. Yeah, I feel like she knows when I paint. She's just like, why aren't you paying attention to me? Yeah, the last few ones she's been fine, and then she's yeah, she's having a little hard time the last couple weeks. So then up top, while we're here, you can just put in a couple lines coming down. Just make sure like the one in the middle is pretty straight, and then they start curving around. There is a circle right here somewhere ish area. I'm just gonna put that in, and then I'm gonna go, since I already have black on my brush, I'm just going to put this in here. If you can't see your traceable anymore, that's okay. It's just the general area is fine. And start small, and you can always make it bigger. I'm gonna look at this straight on so I can make sure it's roundish. And then there's another one over here to the right. This one's slightly oval because you're looking at it from the side. Alright, now that we have that, I feel pretty confident in putting in all of our orange spots. I'm just going to use this same brush. And put a couple boxes, essentially. Make sure they're still following the curvature of the head. It's the only thing that I would say. Otherwise, it can be pretty random. Unless you're like going realistic and you don't want to follow the design. And then there's a strip along like the upper area. let's go ahead and do the rest of the gray areas. There's this one right here, right below the neck area. Obviously, if you are giving a robot human-like features. And we're going to go in with straight black and darken that area while it's still wet and just blend it down. Really getting a lot of blending practice in this one. I'm going to take that black all the way over. And then I'm going to darken up this area. I'm just adding a little bit of this grayish black to this area. And then continuing the lines around, because it's got some lines underneath. Alright, there's more gray to be had. There's a gray. I'm gonna lighten that part up. There's a gray one right here. And there's gray in here. Gray one in here. And you can be as accurate or not as you want to be. It's just depending on how much time you want to spend on it, or if you want it just to be kind of a little bit more of a whimsical thing. I'm going to be doing pretty quick strokes because I don't want to spend a whole ton of time on it. And I'm okay with it being a little bit more of a whimsical piece. This whole piece, there's like a box here. So I'm just going to do a box. And then blend that in, or like color it in. And then come back with the highlights that kind of give it its shape. Yeah, we can come in with some lighter gray. Put in just a couple details here and there. Maybe some lighter highlights. Highlights on the left side. And you can also come in with some darker highlights or some darker shadows and give it, you know, any sort of detail that way that you want to, if you want to. I'm going to come in with some white and just add some of the lines on the body. Just because I can. You're not going to see all of the lines. There's kind of like a circle one here. It's like a couple dots in places. That's pretty much it. There's a couple lines you can put on the top here if you wanted to. Alright, let's go ahead and put, there's one line that we need to do on one of his like eye things. And it's like the bottom section. Around, you kind of can't see it right here. And then you can put in a little bit of a highlight on there, like that. And then for this one, there's just going to be a highlight coming out on this side. fix that one. So right now I'm just taking a dry brush with a little bit of a black brown on it. I don't have very much paint on my brush. I'm just kind of darkening up this edge. I just feel like it needs to be a tad bit darker. There we go. I feel like that's better. I think I would have loved to do this one as a palette knife class. I think that would have been super fun. Now I'll know for next time. I'm gonna put a highlight on the eye side. Is this bluish gray color? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you can go crazy and do a bunch more for this, but I wanted to keep it on the simpler side of things. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is probably gonna be the end of our class. I'm gonna want to just like add all the things. Okay, I'm gonna add one more thing before I sign it. Is I'm just gonna add some white highlights to these things. Just to bring it out a little bit. There you go. Kind of just brings it out. Not really adding much on the right side because it's more in the dark. So, yeah, like I said, you can go crazy with this or you can just leave it as is. And you need 2 gray lines in that area, 1 on each side. Yeah, essentially it is, you mean in here? Yeah, there's a bunch of like highlights. It's like there's like highlights on both sides, which is interesting. But yeah. Between the box and the shape. Wait. Between the box and the shape. in here. I added these two. I could make them bigger though. Yeah, I just didn't make them as big as the picture. Because I think I made my these little thingies a little bit smaller than they should have been. Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, just my proportions were like a tad bit off, but oh, and then there's a little bit of gray around here. There's so many elements to this painting that I'm sure I will find more elements I forgot as I keep staring at it. Okay, I'm done. I need to put it down. Because I will keep going if I keep staring at it. Which reminds me. Oh, I just noticed that too. Yeah, there's a slight orange piece, and that will actually help give it a little bit of, help me finish out that area. I'm gonna make this side of the orange a little bit lighter. Like we have on this side. I think I want to make this highlight a little bit brighter. But yes, there is orange on the other side, which is essentially, it's going to be your orange and brown though. Like, it's not going to be your actual orange, because it's going to be in the dark. So that might be a little bit too dark. I'll brighten up the left side of it. Yeah, if it's too messy, then you'll have to just let things dry and then come back to them. I think I almost need, instead of adding white to the orange to lighten it up, I think what really needs to happen is to add a tiny bit of white and yellow to it because the white is making it a little bit less saturated versus adding yellow and white. We'll keep the color even though it's like lightened up. So I'm just gonna try that. And then I'll be done. Yeah, the head looks pretty good. Which honestly is what people are going to be looking at when they look at it. At this painting, like the head is supposed to be the focus, so I'm glad that that part looks good. There is a highlight here. Alright, I think you need to stop. I really like it. It looks a little bit more realistic than I was going for. But I really enjoyed doing the background, and I think it looks good. I'm proud of it. Okay, I'm gonna go inside mine on the left side. I hope everyone who watches this enjoys it and enjoys the class. I look forward to painting with everyone in a few weeks. This is the first of 3 classes in this month. So I believe our next one, my next Patreon class is the books and tea. And let's see, let me just look up real fast. Our next YouTube class is going to be our nature sun rays. So that one's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. We're going to do lots of, we're going to use a lot of our fan brushes for that one, so I'm really excited for that one because we haven't done a like fan brush one in a while. So but yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I had lots of fun, and yeah, we will paint again soon. Bye guys.